Hi, my name is Clark Roylance, and I made a little itinerary for a hypothetical study abroad program for church history sites, or maybe like a good road trip of road church history sites for my semester project. I was really drawn to doing this when I was looking at all of the list of possible options because of my past experience with study abroads. Since my minor is in Arabic, I'm studying. I went to on the Amman, Jordan intensive Arabic study abroad, where myself and my wife went to Amman, Jordan, and studied Arabic and immersed myself in the language, and it was a lot of fun. And along with the language study, myself and all of the other students that were on the program went to all of the historical sites. And for the last 2 weeks, we crossed the Jordan River into Israel, Palestine, to do some interesting political sightseeing and also to do biblical sightseeing. And so we went from place to place, from Bethlehem to Jericho, and we saw all of the different Roman, Byzantine, Ottoman, and early uh, um, like early first century stuff that was possible over in Israel. And it was special to see and put into context all of the events that were in Jesus' life with the location. It was really precious. And I wanted to do that with this as well. I wanted to continue what I had done with the Meridian of Time with the Restoration and with the life of Joseph Smith and all the early saints. Um, it was also helpful to put into context. Doing this project was also just personally meaningful because when I was younger, I went to all of these sites with my family. Thankfully, I was very blessed to do so because my family had decided uh, to make that a priority with us kids. Um, yeah, and so we visited all these places, but I was young and I wasn't terribly interested in the majority of them. But I was happy to go along with my family, but I don't know, I just didn't put it into the broad historical context. So doing this was helpful to take all those past experiences, what I learned in class this semester so far, and string it together. And it was super pleasant. So what I did was I basically just listed 50 different locations that I thought were of either religious intrigue to just the history of the church. Well, that's all of them. And also perhaps just some peripheral interest about logistics the of the towns and places that I saw. Is really cool. So I started with Joseph Smith's birthplace, and I ended before the Saints ever got to the Salt Lake Valley with Rock Creek Hollow up in Wyoming, which is where they had camped out, where the Willie Had Car Company, like I said, had camped out waiting for some aid. It was really special. I really enjoyed this. So I'll switch over to my presentation right now and talk about some of these things that I've collected. The verse that I thought had been kind of a theme for the project was D&C 121:1, and I'll read it. "O God, where art thou? And where is the pavilion that covereth thy hiding place?" And this is when Joseph Smith is in Liberty Jail, and it's in really sordid conditions. He was down there in that I don't know if my pointer's on the screen, but down there in that basement dungeon, basically, writing these thoughts out. And I thought it was really special, specifically in the context of this project, because we have all of these amazing scriptures in the Doctrine and Covenants. And now, if we visit these places, we can more easily and more poignantly immerse ourselves in what was going on at the time that these revelations were given to Joseph Smith, or guidance that was given to Joseph Smith in the church broadly. Thought that was really special. And I do remember going to this site when I was younger and being really surprised because I was short enough to fit in um, in the basement, but my father had shown me that it was far too uncomfortable for him if he were to be under those floorboards. The two articles that I wanted to talk about also were thematic for my project. The first one was from Dennis Rowley, and I got these from the BYU studies and read them. And it was entitled Nauvoo, a River Town. And it talked about a lot of the logistical aspects of Nauvoo, how it was founded, how they drained the swamp, um, to to make it stable enough for agriculture, or not for agriculture, to for construction and to make it arable. And then the Kirtland economy was interesting because it was attempting to combat some of the other ideas that it was strictly for economics. If I understood the article correctly, it was um, arguing that the economics as a reason for all of the Saints and Kirtland falling apart was tenuous. That's what they were trying to argue, and that there were some other market factors that may have gone into play. It was really interesting. They're really interesting articles that, again, gave a more secular lens on our religious studies of these historical sites, which was really, really special. And I also had a couple of sites that attracted me as well for the same reason. This is the Erie Canal, where a lot of saints immigrated and emigrated across different towns, moving to Ohio from Palmyra, New York. And living in Connecticut, I had visited this as a little kid, and I thought it was really special. So I put a lock that was in Palmyra. This is lock 29, if that has any meaning. Um, and it's still active, and it's how boats were able to navigate across the canal. And how early saints would have a little less sophisticated though. This is in Kirtland, and this was of another location that I put on there. It was of Quarry, where saints had extracted stones for the temple. And I thought these sites were really cool because it just showed a more broad understanding of what was going on at these locations. Okay, for me, how does this apply? I'm going to go switch back over and make sure that I'm getting that correctly. Um, yeah, so applying this to my own life, I just had a baby, and I'm excited to show him all of these sites when I grow up. I'm going to be attempting to teach him about all of these sites, and I feel like from this, I've gained a proper education so that I can turn around and teach him about the history of our church and honestly the history of his ancestors, and I'm excited to do that. For the broader church, I feel like it's helpful to put all of these things into context so that we understand we're not just a Salt Lake church, and that we have a very humble and beautiful beginning. So thank you very much. I enjoyed this project very much.